Thank you.
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Joining us again, Sunday Igboho's lawyer Yomi Aliyu has alleged that his client is being tortured and be dehumanized in Cotonou, Benin Republic. The senior advocate of Nigeria, in an interview, said Igboho has been chained to the floor of a police cell and being treated like an animal based on an alleged order from above. He also revealed that Igboho will appear before a court today for an extradition order and debunked earlier report about his release. Ali also restated that the extradition order being sought for by the Nigerian authorities may not likely seal through, given Igboho's status as a political offender. Now also, the Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide has urged the federal government to address the fundamental issues of injustice to end agitations and the emergence of ethnic heroes. Well, it's believed going after the likes of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, and the Yoruba nation agitator Sunday Igboho will amount to nothing without justice. Now, Ohanaeze said the federal government should apply similar zeal and efficiency with which it arrested Kanu and Igboho in dealing with killers, herdsmen, and bandits. Now, Ohanaeze, in a statement by his spokesman, Alex Obonnaya, believes other Kanus and Igbohos will soon emerge if the underlying issues are not addressed. Now, recall that Kanu was arrested in Kenya on June 25 and brought back to Nigeria to face trial for alleged treason, whereas Igboho, along with his wife, was arrested in Benin Republic by security agents. In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party accused the presidency of plots to perpetrate President Muhammadu Buhari in office by 2023. That's another story that we will take in just a moment. Now, PDP said, alleged that the assertion by the presidency, the Nigerians will be waiting for President Buhari to show the way in 2023 is a proof of the plot. A statement by the PDP National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olopodeo, said Nigerians were jolted when the presidential spokesperson, Shehu Garba, publicly announced in Daura that President Buhari constitutes a political obstacle which those who seek to succeed him come 2023 cannot dismantle. The main opposition party was reacting to a statement in which Garba Shehu suggested the PDP and the opposition parties would not be allowed to win the 2023 election. Now, the chieftain of the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State, Brave Wobo, has criticized the People's Democratic Party for suggesting that there are plans to keep President Buhari beyond 2023. Wobo was reacting to comment by presidential aide Garba Shehu that opposition parties will not be allowed to win the 2023 election. Wobo told Atlantic Television that the PDP's response is self-defeating.
We have constitutional provisions that allows when you will stay and when you will go. And then let us even agree, but not concealing, that Garba Shehu has said so. He's also entitled to his own opinion. Nothing comes easily. The man has said something, let us say it's a propaganda, and you are now sinking into it. You have now putting fear into yourself before you get to the battleground. You don't first defeat yourself. The man has said so, just to put fear in you, and you're not crying everywhere. That's not how politics is played.
The River State APC stalwart also said that purported legendary popularity enjoyed by President Buhari in the North is not a man.
And if Garba Shehu said again, Buhari's popularity, I tend to believe. I just said it on air now, that if you see what happened recently, that Buhari went to Kano for this groundbreaking rail thing, and if you also have said your back to Bauchi, when Buhari said, vote for whatever governor you like, but vote for me. If you see his vote in Bauchi, you now know that, and they did not vote for APC governor, but they voted for PDP governor and voted Buhari. You will now know that the North loves Buhari.
The state leader of the Imams and Islamic scholars, Haleru Imam, has urged Muslims faithful to embrace peace and love as preached by Prophet Muhammad. Speaking with Atlantic Television, Haleru Imam, while explaining that this year's Salah celebration was low-key considering the hardship and insecurity across the country, emphasized the impact of the season on Islam region across the world.
The Salah celebrations means the commandment of the Almighty Allah. So whenever this month comes, Zulhijjah, this is the 12th month calendar of Islam. We celebrate it, we pray according to teachings of Prophet Muhammad. My simple message goes to the Muslim community to emulate the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. That is peace, unity, and tranquility. This year in Islam is not so good because of the killings there and there. We celebrate the Salah in low-key, but thanks go to Allah.
Imam commended the River State Governor, Nyesom Wike, for his love and support to the Muslim community in the state.
So I have to thank the Rivers State government in particular by maintaining peace in Rivers State. Because if you look, in Rivers State, there is peace under this administration. We have to thank him, because without him that commit himself to the people of Rivers State, the peace will not be here.
The Nigerian Center for Disease Control has announced that there are 59 suspected cases of monkeypox, with 15 confirmed in the country. The NCDC Director General Dr. Chikweye Kwazu disclosed this while reacting to reports of a United States resident testing positive for the disease after visiting Nigeria. The NCDC Director General said an outbreak would be declared when there are large cluster of monkeypox cases that constitute an emergency. He announced that there are 59 suspected cases of monkeypox, with 15 concerned. The Yekwazo also revealed that the NCDC have been working with state health ministries to strengthen monkeypox disease surveillance and response in the country. He said states with the largest number of cases are Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Lagos State. Now, COVID-19, following the announcement by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control that some states in Nigeria are in the cusp of the third wave of COVID-19. Residents of the 6 states placed on red alert have expressed concern over an imminent lockdown or restriction in movement by the state government. Atlantic Television sampled opinions of some analysts on what is expected of the government and the people on the matter. A lawyer and public affairs analyst, Eugene Ode, while stressing that the virus is overly harmed, said government should apply caution in implementing COVID-19 measures to avoid a repeat of negative effects earlier experienced in the first wave.
Coronavirus is real. There's no doubt about that. My only grouse is the way it's been overhyped. I think the management of this disease has been over-exaggerated globally. I say this because if you follow the WHO, which is actually where the whole bulk stops, their body language from day one when they proclaimed it a global pandemic up till today, there's been a lot of mixed messaging coming out from the WHO. First, they said it was airborne. Second, they now retracted and said it was not airborne. Then they now said it was a pathogen. You could contact it by touching and all that. Later, they said, they kept on changing the goalposts from time to time.
On his part, a former publicity secretary to the PDP in Rivers State, Darlington Oji, stressed absolute compliance with government-issued health protocol is the only way to ensure safety of lives of citizens.
If there is a projection that there is likely to that we are likely to have a third wave of COVID-19, I would still advise our people to comply with all the COVID-19 protocols. And government by now should have advanced with technology, with a way out, because the government itself knows the hardship our people passed through last time. And of course, some remedial process should also be put in place so that it will not be as tedious as it was. I can tell you it was difficult. It was actually difficult. But then, God helping us, we survived it.
In order to curtail new COVID-19 infection and death, the authorities in Zimbabwe have ordered all civil servants to be vaccinated. The Public Service Commission Secretary Jonathan Watosishe announced the new measures in a letter addressed all heads of ministries, departments, and agencies. He also banned unvaccinated workers from boarding buses provided by the state, as only workers with proof of vaccination agents against COVID-19 will be allowed. Meanwhile, confirmed cases of COVID-19 from 55 African countries suspected 6 million, while nearly 40 million persons have been vaccinated. Reported deaths in Africa reached 159,585, while nearly 5 million people have recovered. Now, South Africa has the most reported cases of 2,311,232, over 67,000 people dead. Other most affected countries are Morocco with over 562 Tunisia 554, Egypt 283, Ethiopia 277, then Libya 226, and Kenya nearly 109 for cases. All right, that's a bit for the news on Atlantic Blower this morning. Our talking point comes up immediately as Ohaneze has written to federal government saying no peace without justice over Kanu and Igboho. Please stay with us and join us as experts take a look at this moment. We'll be right back.
anchor on the facts, breaking news, and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage, facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
Hello and thanks for staying with us. This is Atlantic Blowout on Atlantic Television Network. And before we went on the break, we said we're going to take a look at the Ohanese's open letter, so to say, to federal government. Then it reads, "No peace without justice over Kanu Igboho." APES Igbo Social Cultural Group, Ohanese Ndibo, worldwide, directed the No Peace Without Justice statement to the federal government of Nigeria on the arrest and prosecution of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB Nnamdi Kanu, and the Yoruba Nation agitator Sunday Adeyemi, known as Sunday Igboho, stressing that the prosecution would amount to nothing without justice. It had also expressed surprise at the level of deficiency with the security operative deployed in the arresting Kanu and Igboho, but questioned why similar approach is not used in the hunt for the dreaded Boko Haram, henchmen, bandits, and other criminal elements. Now, the group spokesperson, Alex Ogbonnaya, on Tuesday in Enugu said, as long as the federal government fails to address issues of injustice, many other Kanus and Igboho will sooner than later emerge. To some Nigerians, they feel the efficiency of our security operatives is selective. Excuse me. When it comes to fighting insecurity in their nation. One of the depending admonitions of Pope John Paul II is, if you want peace, then work for peace. There is also an old maxim founding on reason. Experience and truth that says the only way for peace to reign in society is for justice to be seen, served to all. The Apex Igbo group, led by Professor George Obiazo, has maintained the need for the presidency to embrace equity, justice, and fairness in public policy formulations and execution. And the various forms of agitations in Nigeria is an effect and not a cause in itself. This is the statement of Ohaneze Ndibu. And I have joining me live our constitutional lawyer, Chief Faustus Oguche. You're welcome to Atlantic Blowout.
Thanks very much. Thanks for inviting me.
And congratulations on your
chieftaincy title. Yes, exactly. Thank God we've met here again. You're a veteran broadcaster, I know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, and he's being also joined in the studio here, the public affairs analyst, Mr. Jerry Omaz. Jerry, welcome to Blowout.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning, River State. Good morning, wherever you're viewing us from.
Thank you so much. Now, is a demand by those two groups against their fundamental rights as Nigeria, Barrister?
Well, the demand is very straightforward. We quite understand the role peace plays in every society. You cannot have justice without peace. They are correlative and they go together. They've made that statement. It's a very powerful statement, and also it seems the federal government is not being very responsive to the views of Nigerians on these issues. The demand for self-determination is a valid demand. It is legal. It is recognized under the fundamental norms, but even the Constitution in its spirit. You don't construe the Constitution from its letters alone. It has a spirit that envelopes it. The Supreme Court has said that you don't expect the Constitution to contain virtually everything you want. So within it, there are a lot of other provisions that are not there that you and I cannot see. But then we have the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and we also have the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and the economic, social, and cultural rights, where these rights are properly entrenched and embedded. But the extent to which these rights can inure to persons within defined sovereign boundaries is what maybe is it could be talked for another day. But for now, these are entrenched rights. But then how those rights can be prosecuted without armed struggle is what beats my imagination, because if you're asking for secession, you're asking for separation, you're also demanding that maybe a particular entity that is well and properly defined be dismantled. And of course, the government of the day will be very reluctant, very wary of doing it. But then there's another statement that, from what you've read, which says that, and I think it's very correct, that the focus of government should primarily be on how to dislodge Boko Haram, dislodge banditry. I don't think there's any difference between banditry and Boko Haram. The headsmen who will be killing Nigerians for quite some time, and focusing on these ones. These ones, if you are carrying an elephant on your head, you don't go pursuing rats and lizards. And the federal government appear not to be doing much in that direction. I don't know why it chose more to pursue those rights than to concentrate on the elephant it has on its head.
Okay, Jerry, let me come to you now.
Yeah.
In the issue of the open letter to federal government, where Ohanaeze Ndigbo is also saying that no justice, no peace. What's your immediate reaction when you heard that Igboho was arrested in Cotonou, on his way to Germany? And also, his lawyer is also saying that he's been treated like treated or chained to the floor of the police cell. What's your immediate reaction to that?
If it's being treated the way the lawyer claimed, it's not the Nigerian government that is treating him that way. It's the Cotonou government. They arrested him. So he has a right to move within the African sub-region and others. But he must have committed an offense before he was arrested. Because he is not the only Nigerian in that Cotonou. You have so many Nigerians who have seen Nigerian names, Nigerian boys playing football for them. So if he has not done something, I don't think the Cotonou authority will want to arrest him. So the crime he commits, which the lawyer have not told us, may be responsible for the type of treatment, if it is true that he's being treated that way. And we also heard that the people that perpetrate the same crime with him are also arrested, the Benin citizens. So it's not an exclusive thing. It's something that the law of the country has to take that due course. But we are thinking of how to bring him back and face his charges. And what I heard this morning is that the Cotonou people say, look, you have committed the crime and we want to try you here first before we think of taking you back. So I've not seen anything wrong in whatever treatment they give him. But when you talk about justice or peace without justice, now let's start from Igboho. Igboho is from the Yoruba extraction and he's saying they want to pull out of the country. Now you ask, if there are people who are supposed to be crying of injustice, I don't think it should be Yorubas. In 1999, you have a Yoruba man as the president of this country and ruled for 8 years. Now, you have another Yoruba man as the vice president and is running another 8 years, 6 years gone. So where are they not treated right? Gbajabi Amila is the speaker of House of Rep right now. Where is he from? We have had Yoruba as Senate president. We have had them hold almost all the positions in this country. So who is not treating who right? If there should be any group that should be crying for justice right now, it should be the Niger Delta people. I advocate that when they are saying, no, Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, what are you bringing to the table? I advocate that those who bring more resources to the table should be able to help the country based on resources. Because I'm an Ishekiri man, I know our contribution to the national development. If you are saying that the majority of the people should have more stake and we have more resources coming from our area, which is the oil, which is the mainstay, then there's injustice to some people. So it's not about majority of the people making so much noise and they now make it, when lies are spread over time, people begin tend to see it as truth. So the Niger Delta people are the most marginalized because when there is oil spillage, we benefit it. When there is money, Abuja gets it. So these are some of the things we should be looking at, not telling me Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo. No.
Okay, Chief Festus, let me also bring in on Kanu's issue, on his arrest, and the demand by Ohanaeze Ndigbo. What is your take? And the letter that I just read out here now, and they are threatening, saying, no justice, no peace. Which way forward? Are you of the opinion that Kanu should be treated like every other human being in Nigeria, or otherwise?
is a human being, and there are standards of treatment of human beings. First of all, I want to dislodge the opinion that maybe the reason for agitations for separatism must be anchored on a particular point. For instance, marginalization, suppression, or what have you. The exercise of a fundamental right doesn't necessarily have to be anchored on that. One can choose to opt out of any association he likes, if it panders very well to his interests. It's just a matter of whatever. What Kanu is going through also is in line with the global norms of extradition. And I think that is exactly what is going through. Whether his fundamental rights are being violated by the Beninoi or by Nigeria, it is immaterial. What is important is that they are furthering their interest towards a particular treaty between the two countries. And if his fundamental right is being violated by any of the parties to that treaty, it also means that the rest of the parties to the treaty are also violating his fundamental rights. I have my reservations about separatism, but there are so many things wrong with the way the country is structured. And I felt that maybe some of these demands and agitations should be a pointer to the direction of what should be. Which is, first of all, restructuring.
Are you of the opinion that the country needs to be restructured, and that will end all the agitation from all colors?
You cannot continue the way the country is. We are operating a federal system of government, and it is not even federal in nature. I think it was Professor Isawa Eliagu that called it unitary federalism. And you don't see that kind of coinage anywhere, as far as I'm concerned. And you also consider a whole lot of issues behind it, because you don't ever see a federal structure with such a very strong center, and the president has to take care of everything. Virtually the whole legislative lists are in the exclusive list. The state governors are just there doing nothing. Then the local government is so suppressed that we don't even know whether they are alive or not. So you can't operate on that kind of structure. And you have a multifarious national entity with so many groups, and then these kind of structure will create forces of centrifugalism, the people that want to separate. And that's the whole essence of it. But it appears some people do not want this restructuring to take place. For the Niger Delta issue, which my good friend here raised, I mean, they should have the control of their resources, because the bandits, they are there. In Zamfara State, for instance, they are taking care of their own resources. That's the whole essence of restructuring.
So are you saying now that in all of this, that Kanu and Igboho are freedom fighters, not lawbreakers?
Yes.
How will you describe them?
If you label them with criminality, it is just akin to calling a dog a bad name just to hang it. I don't see any criminality there, except it is provable. Igboho, to the extent that I know, the DSS is yet to present evidence, credible evidence, though these they do in the court of law. But some of these things can be manufactured, I know. But their whole battle in Nigeria, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is not simply because they committed any crime. It's simply because they want to dismantle the national structure, which may be. I doubt if their right to self-determination will allow them to do that, because the African Commission on Human Rights had given a judgment in the Kantagese People's Commission against the Republic of Congo. And it says the Kantagese people say they want a separate union. And they took the Republic of Congo to the commission. But the commission said, no, you can only exercise that right within national boundaries. You cannot determine to opt out of the system. And I think that has always been the position of even the European Court of Human Rights and all these ones. So the extent to which you exercise that right has its own limitations, except you go into armed struggle that involve the United Nations coming in, and there will be a referendum or a plebiscite like South Sudan, exactly. Then it's a different kettle of fish altogether.
Okay, Jerry.
It's just understanding the principles.
Okay, Jerry, now, let me also ask you the same question. What's your opinion? What's your opinion on this? Do you see Kanu and Igboho as freedom fighters or as lawbreakers?
I'm not seeing them as freedom fighters. I see them as people who take advantage of the lapses in the system and begin to further their nest. They are not freedom fighters as far as I'm concerned. Whose freedom are they even fighting? You know, the other time when the president came back from treatment abroad in London, he called a meeting of the service chiefs. And he told the service chiefs, go after these people. That was when Kanu escaped and jumped bail. Sure. And he also told the service chiefs that anybody that caused problem, crush that person. That measures have been put in place in the Constitution. That if you have any issue, there are areas you go to. You have people representing you at the ward level. You have people representing you at the local government level. You have people representing you at the state level. You have people representing you at the National Assembly level. Now, how far have they explored those areas? How many Igbohu or Kanu have said, look, Gbajabiamila, as in Igbohu now, we want to meet with you. Let's hold a town hall meeting. This is what we want. Let's go to Kanu. For 8 good years, Ekweremadu was the chairman Constitutional Review Committee representing him. No question from anywhere. It was there. The Constitution was never reviewed. They said the 1999 Constitution was a military Constitution. We need to review it. This is 21 plus years counting, and you have 360 House of Rep members, 109 senators. Yes, no part of the Constitution has been amended. And we are here talking about a unitary Constitution. No! How come those who are supposed, whose right to do this thing, are not talking about it? How come Ekweremadu was chairman now is Omo Agege? Omo Agege is the one now in charge of the Constitution. You are hearing though, they come to River State, this other, then they went to Akwa Ibom, they went to, what has come out? They like this jamboree thing, and at the end of the day, if we cannot hold them responsible, by 2023 they will come knocking again, and we will also vote them and now complain tomorrow that, oh, these people are they are marginalizing, or the Constitution is bad. If these people you voted as representing you are not doing the work you asked them to do, which of them has been called before or recalled? No. If we cannot recall even one of them, so it means we are satisfied with their performance.
Are you also saying now that the lawmakers are part of the problems?
They are the biggest problem we have.
How are they the problems? How?
You know the problem of your people. Now, if you look at Ekweremadu, put Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu has more fans than Ekweremadu, take it or leave it. Because, like I said, he took advantage of the lapses created by the lawmakers and strive with that and begin to make way for himself. It's not like I'm saying he's representing anybody. He's still somebody that is trying to see how, like they say in local parlance, Mugu for Gama and work. That's what they are doing. But the lawmakers should be hop to their game, to their job. They cannot be collecting big money and don't do small and don't even do work at all now. That is why we have this problem. If they have been able to amend the Constitution over time, look at the confirmed report. At a time, they say, okay, the president have the power. The lawmakers say, no, it is our work. If it's your work, how come you have not thought of it? That is where the problem lies.
May I come in here? The quality of democracy, and indeed the quality of representation in any democracy, is anchored on the Constitution. If you have a faulty Constitution, you have a whole lot of distortions.
Okay, do we have a faulty Constitution right
Very
now?
faulty from the beginning. So, it is not a people's document. As a matter of fact, going by the agitations over the Constitution, there's supposed to be a force majeure on that Constitution to the fact that the Constitution cannot be binding on the people. A constitutional document is an organic instrument and not a worthless piece of paper. Majority of those in the National Assembly, he made a very good point about the quality of representation in the National Assembly. Majority of them, how many people voted them in there? Because the framework for the operation of democracy is faulty from the start, from the beginning. And that's why we are talking about restructuring. Because a whole lot of things, the people must directly be involved in the making of a constitutional document for it to be valid, for it to be efficacious, for it to be accepted. I think the distortions start from there. And that's why we are operating this kind of floppy kind of constitutional framework that is neither here nor there. And it is not taking us anywhere. until we come back to the drawing board. He made some valid points about the quality of representation, which I also see the quality of debate in the National Assembly, in the two houses of the National Assembly. Sometimes you begin to ask yourself, why do we have a bicameral legislature when they are virtually doing nothing?
Okay, Jerry wanted to say something
Even
before.
the restructuring, I still put hole in that restructuring that we're talking about now. If we come and bring, say, 36 people, let's say 37 plus the Federal Capital Territory, tell them, or bring 1,000 lawyers, let them tell us from different regions now, let them tell us what is their idea of restructuring. Let me tell you what you'll be hearing. Let's go back to 1963 Constitution. Let's go back to regional government. Let's have 6 states in the southeast to balance up. These are some of the things you'll be hearing. The key issues, if you keep them for 1 full month, the key issues will never be discussed. Oh, we used to have cocoa. Let's go back to cocoa. Oh, let's go back to this. Some funny things. So even Nigerians, even though I agree that we need to restructure, but on what pattern? What pattern of restructuring? You are telling me, I have lived in Rivers State for like 25 years. If I want to get any document, I go to the brick house and get it. You are not telling me that we should go back to 1963 or 67 days, that I have to go back to Enugu before I get a document. That is what restructuring means to some people. Some people mean that they should control their resources and get returns. So
devolution of power.
Devolution of power for the governors.
But you also made a statement when we started that even Chief here said that the governors are not the whole power is on the presidency. Governors are not doing anything. Even local government chairman that is not existing.
Yes.
So
now the key thing is, Nigerians has not been able. Yes, they know we have a problem. Just like somebody will tell you, I have headache, and you say take analgesics. The person said, no, I can't take analgesics. Okay, suggest what we will take to cure this headache. It become an issue. That's the situation we find ourselves right now. Because the Southwest now, for them, restructuring means a different thing from the South. For the North Central, is different thing from, so you have, even within the South, you have restructuring different from Rivers State and Bayelsa from Delta. So how do we now put all these interests together? What are our reps, those that are representing us from year to year? How come, like I asked before and I'll ask again, for 8 years, Ekweremadu, his people are shouting referendum. How come he's not been able to say, let us even debate this issue of referendum? That's our problem.
Okay, in all of these agitations from different quarters, how do we curb these agitations and insecurity in the country? Even when the presidency of the state said no media house should talk more on reports any insecurity and the mandatory activities.
That is laughable as far as I'm concerned. The president.
So where does this leave us now?
I don't think the president will say a thing like that in a democratic system. That the president will direct the media houses on what to report.
To clamp down on.
To clamp down how? But these are things that are happening, except maybe.
So how do we come? How do we do this?
Is the president rather saying?
They want to use it to reduce tension in the land because we already have tension.
Is the president rather saying that those reports are false, except maybe if he's saying that they are fake? If they are actual things and factual situations, why will the media not report it? Why should it be the president that should direct the media on what to do? Is he a professional journalist?
We're still battling with the ban on Twitter and this. So where does this leave us? How do we cover all this?
Even the military never dared in that arena in their heydays. The thing is this: all this cacophony of agitations coming left, right, and center are the product of the contradictions in our society. There are conflictual situations. He had painted a very good picture of what the average congregation of Nigerians will think of if you bring the issue of restructuring on the table, the Yorubas, the Niger Delta, the this. But I'm saying that it is better you pander to their interests because these are ethnic nationalities and they must be heard. When the British brought the protectorates together, they didn't consult anybody. There was no instrument. There's nothing like an amalgamation law. I know that what they did in the 1884 Berlin Conference was just a matter of fiat. And maybe Africans were just so carried away by it.
Moving forward, what's the best solution to handle Kanu's case and Igboho's case?
They will face their trials. They will face their trials. The laws of the land will take its course. There won't be partiality, so that even when they are found guilty or innocent, nobody will raise eyebrow that look, because it's from so place. That is why they are treating him this way or like this. I like what Ohanaeze have said, that they will monitor the trial, get the best lawyers, the British people too that are asking us for a report as if we are prefects in their school. They should also monitor.
Kanu is a dual citizen.
He's a dual citizen. He allegedly committed a crime here. We have had voice stuff where he was ordering people to kill policemen. Will you kill one British policeman and go free? What are we talking about here now? So it's not about being dual citizen. Osama bin Laden was also a dual citizen, was killed in Pakistan. Have anybody called America to explain to the world how they killed him? When Israel went to Uganda to rescue their citizen without the consent of India and me, have they explained to anybody in the world? Have they been called to question? When America entered Iraq and removed the president and even gave him kangaroo trial and killed him, have they explained to the whole world that they have not found even a bottle of kerosene instead of the chemical weapon they said he possessed?
All right. Well, I guess this is where we leave this discussion for now. But I also want to say that we pray that justice will prevail in our country.
I will insert here, please, before you conclude, that you don't use the sledgehammer to kill an ant. To the very best of my knowledge, I think it's better Nigeria forget about the trial of this gentleman and face the onslaught against Boko Haram, bandits and herdsmen.
Okay, they are facing
that's the proper approach.
They are not
facing anybody.
And if you know the amount of bombardment that is going on those guys, if half enter here, most of the area would have been sink long ago.
We watch and see. Thank you.
A constitutional lawyer, Chief Justice Oguche, and a public affairs analyst, Mr. Jerry Omas. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting.
All right, Atlantic Blowout will return in just a moment. Just stay with us. We'll be right back, please.
Yeah.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
anchor on the facts, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage, facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
Thanks for staying there with us. Now, operative of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that's NDLEA, have arrested a Nigerian woman based in Brazil, Mrs. Anita Ugochinyere Ogbonna, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, with 100 pallets of cocaine concealed in her private parts and a handbag. The mother of 3 was arrested on Friday night on arrival in Abuja via Qatar Airline and Palio, Brazil through Doha. Upon a proper search, 12 wraps of cocaine inserted in her private parts were extracted, while another 88 pallets suffered in stock were discovered hidden in her bag. And of late, we have had cases of drug trafficking and illicit use of drugs by our youths and others. I have joining me live in the studio the Rivers State PRO of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Mr. Emmanuel Obumbada. Welcome to Atlantic Blowouts.
Thank you.
You're just smiling as that's what's going on. But
Yeah.
I must commend you for your efforts. That's your agency, and climbing down on drug traffickers. And of course, there was an illicit drug abuse in the country.
Thank you.
So, what do we need to know more about NDLEA, apart from what we have read that now? And what other programs do you have for youth? Because to sensitize them why they shouldn't get themselves involved in this. Now, on the case of the woman that was arrested, can you throw more light into this?
Okay, first you must understand that NDLEA is a federal government agency established via NDLEA Act, Cap N30 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. And our operations border mainly on controlling of illicit drugs in the country. So we engage in arrest and seizure of, drug peddlers and the substances. And then we prosecute those who are arrested. And then we also provide counseling and rehabilitation services to those who are addicted, to these illegal substances. So generally, we understand that according to UNODC research, that the youths are the ones that are mainly affected by this problem. What I mean is that those who engage actively in the use of illicit drugs, as well as the trafficking, fall within the ages of 15 and 64. And that's the workforce. That age falls within the workforce or the active age in humans. So if 15 to 64 is destroyed as a result of drug problem, then it means that we don't have a country, we don't have a society. So that's the reason why drug problems should be fought from all angles. As for the woman that was arrested at the airport, that inserted some drugs in her, or concealed those drugs in her private part and in her handbag, it's one of those numerous arrests we've made. In the past, we have also witnessed a lot of that, and some even conceal them in their hair braids. Some they create false bottom or on their bags. They create a false bottom and conceal it. Some open the soles of their shoes and conceal those drugs, and so many other methods of concealment. So we are always working 24/7. As we discover any method, they move to another, we follow them. So we'll continue to go after them. And yes. Yeah. Our officers are well trained in various types of searches, to ensure that these drugs are recovered. Because as you recover these drugs and take them out of the society, you are reducing the quantity of drugs that would have been distributed.
So what do you do with the drugs when you seize them? What do you do with them?
All right, first, they serve as evidence. So the drugs must be properly preserved, well packaged and properly labeled against the names of those who were arrested with it, so that they can be tendered in court as evidence, and then at the end of the court process, if the suspect is convicted, you know, the suspect, of course, goes to the correctional center, while the exhibits are returned to the exhibit room where they are properly kept, you know, until when we have a significant number, you know, or quantity, then we will apply to the court for destruction of those exhibits. And then we organize public destruction.
Yeah. Okay, then you destroy them?
We destroy them,
so
yes.
How long does the court session take? How long does it take to prosecute?
There is no defined or stated period. It depends on the nature of the case. The defendant in question might plead guilty, but even at that, the court will still require that we prove, because some probably may not even understand the meaning of guilty or not guilty, and will simply say, I'm guilty. So the court will require that we give proper evidence on how the person was arrested and why he should be sentenced, you know, and then the court. So it depends on the circumstances of the case, you know, and so some take up to a year, some more than that, some even less than that, you know. So, but it's every case has its own peculiarity. Yeah.
Okay, what program do you have for you? Because, like you said, we know that the youths now, this is the age where, do you have any sensitization program you organize for youth in order to counsel them, to sensitize them that why they shouldn't get involved in drug trafficking and illicit or drug abuse in whichever way?
Yeah. You know, it has been established that one of the basic reasons why people go into drug abuse is ignorance. So a whole lot of people do not know anything about the consequences of these drugs of abuse. And so friends will lure, you know, them into drug abuse. Some because they just want to get involved, or some because they see those people doing it and they feel they should get involved. And also ignorance is one of the basic reasons. And so sensitization is key. And I commend your organization for what you're doing here. You have invited me to come and talk at no cost. You know, you are bearing the cost and everything. I really commend your organization for doing this. So, yeah, so sensitization is one of the, you know, basic areas to reach out to them. If you let them know the consequences of these things, they may not want to go into it. You know, ordinarily some you give them take and then they just take. You say, I've been doing it, take it. And the person takes, you know. But if the person is already aware that this is dangerous to his health or her health, because it's not just the male folks now, even the females get involved in it. And the females tend to even compete with men. Probably the slogan that what men can do, women can do better. So they want to get, you know, better at it. So by the time people are aware, the youths are aware of these things, they will tend to withdraw from it. So sensitization, and then we organize sensitization programs. You know, we have some for kids at nursery and primary schools, and then secondary school and then university. You know, just like if I live here now, I'll be going to Uniport, you know, University of Port Harcourt, where Nigerian Hotel Association are organizing a sensitization program, and we have been invited to come and speak, you know, on the consequences of drug abuse, especially to hospitality business. You know, so it's one of the programs we engage in. In our office, we invite schools to bring in their pupils, you know, so that we'll talk to them. And then whenever there is a public program like that, especially we partner with National Orientation Agency, and then we go to such public functions and we discuss, you know, these programs. Tomorrow, I will also be going to speak with on a program organized by FIDA, Federation of International Women Lawyers. Yeah, I'll be going to speak, you know, on the consequences of drug abuse to the youths. Yeah.
Okay.
So we do a whole lot of sensitization, but to the extent that our funds can carry for those ones that require funding.
Okay, now, you know, a couple of days, weeks ago, we received a report that NDLE raided a particular warehouse in Anambra State. So I want to know, do you face any handicap in discharge of your duties in the course of this house? When you're at a warehouse where you see this drug packed, what do you do with them? How do you get tips to know that you get an information this warehouse is loaded with illicit drugs?
Yeah, we basically engage in surveillance, information gathering. You know, when we gather such information, we process them into intelligence.
Okay.
You know, actionable intelligence, which will give us a specific location, and then those involved and everything about, you know, the activities of those drug dealers. And then we now move into action, and we recover those exhibits and arrest the suspects.
Okay,
yeah.
so finally now, do you get funds from the federal government?
Yeah, that's one of our handicaps.
Okay.
The federal government is the chief sponsor. You know, we get our funding from the federal government, but it's actually not enough. It's not enough. So that's why our new chairman, chief executive, retired Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, you know, has been making a whole lot of moves, you know, to let the government and other stakeholders understand the need to properly fund the agency. We face a lot of challenges, especially logistics, you know, and so we take care of that by collaborating with other security agencies, especially Nigerian Army, you know, to, like, for that drug that was recovered at that warehouse, you know, we employed the services of the Nigerian Army. We used their heavy trucks to evacuate. Yes. The same thing happened in Benin about 4 or 5 months ago, where we recovered, we discovered a very large warehouse, you know, where they store cannabis sativa, you know, and then we partnered with them to evacuate. Same thing here in Rivers State at sometime in February, you know, we made a seizure at Abuja Estate, you know, and then the military also supported us in evacuating those things. And then the civil defense also beefed up our manpower. You know, the police and other security agencies do support us in carrying out these activities.
Yeah. PRO of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Mr. Emmanuel Obumbala. Thank you so much for coming on Atlantic Blowout.
Thank you.
And thank you. All right, Atlantic Blowouts will return in just a moment. Please do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Anchor on the facts, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage. Facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and make
To have you back. The Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games finally kicks off yesterday, and just one day into the games, we already have some records broken. Cyril, in what event did this happen?
Indeed, quite a few records have been either broken or set after just one day of action at the games, and it happened in football as the Netherlands trashed Zambia 10 goals to 3 to break the record for the most goals scored by a single team in a women's Olympic football match. Wednesday's action-packed encounter also made it the highest scoring game in women's Olympic football since it made its debut at the 1996 Atlanta Games. Zambia did have reason for celebration as Captain Barbara Banda scored her country's first ever women's goal at an Olympic Games. The 21-year-old striker went on to score a memorable hat-trick, becoming the first female African player to score 3 goals at a game. Both teams were playing at the games for the first time. In like manner, Brazil also got their campaign off to a flying start earlier on Wednesday with a comprehensive 5-0 victory over China. It was a game that saw Brazilian football legends Marta and Formiga create Olympic history. Marta became the first player to score in 5 straight Olympics, and Formiga made her 7th Olympic Games appearance. Brazil played Netherlands on Sunday. And still in women football at the Olympic Games, Great Britain's women's footballers took the knee before their Tokyo Olympics opening 2-0 win over Chile on Wednesday, fulfilling a pre-games promise to support racial equality and establishing a significant precedent later followed by other teams. On the first day of sports at the Tokyo 2020, and with the International Olympic Committee confirming the gesture did not violate its Rule 50 banning political statements, the United States and Sweden both followed suit ahead of their match, as did New Zealand. The IOC's Rule 50 forbids any kind of demonstration or political, religious, or racial propaganda in Olympic venues and any other Olympic area. But the Olympic body has been under mounting pressure in recent years to allow more freedom of expression for athletes on the field of play, and not just in news conferences, interviews, or the venues where the spectators can see them. In men's football, games between Egypt and Spain, New Zealand versus South Korea, Mexico versus France, Ivory Coast versus Saudi Arabia are currently ongoing, while Argentina versus Australia, Japan versus South Africa, Honduras versus Romania, and Brazil versus Germany will take place later today. In softball, the second round of matches took place this morning. The United States softball team followed their opening day 2-0 victory over Italy yesterday with a 1-0 win over Canada early this morning. Canada, who defeated Mexico 4-0, were unable to produce similar results against their formidable neighbors, the United States of America. Host Japan also made it 2 wins from 2 games with a 3-2 win over Mexico on day 2, while Team Australia were able to bounce back from their heavy day 1 loss to edge Italy 1-0. While the action already kicked off for some others haven't been so fortunate, as the number of withdrawals continue to increase. This time, the Russian Swimming Federation announced on Wednesday that swimmer Ilya Borodin will miss the Tokyo Olympics after testing positive for COVID-19. The 18-year-old, who is the 2020 European champion in the men's 400-meter individual medley, tested positive for the coronavirus during a training camp in the city of Vladivostok in the far east of Russia before departing for Japan. The Russian Federation said that all athletes and training staff have tested negative for the virus. Similarly, Britain's world number 1 shooter Amber Hill withdrew from Tokyo Olympics on Wednesday after she tested positive for COVID-19 before departure. 23-year-old Hill, who was due to compete in Olympic skate, said she was absolutely devastated to have tested positive for COVID-19 after 5 years of training and preparation. Team Great Britain said no replacement will be selected. Hill, a silver medalist at the 2018 Commonwealth Games, was the most experienced athlete on the British shooting team. In another development, Spanish synchronized swimmer Ona Carbonell has said she is disappointed and disillusioned that she cannot take her breastfeeding son with her to the Olympics.
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
We'll come back from that technical hitch. It was completely beyond our control, but we'll continue now with our sports news. In other developments, Spanish synchronized swimmer Ona Canobel has said she is disappointed and disillusioned that she cannot take her breastfeeding son with her to the Olympics because her family will be subject to such drastic restrictions in Japan. Her husband and son Kai, who is nearly 1, will have to stay in quarantine in a separate hotel and will not be able to leave their room for about 20 days, the duration for which she will be in Japan. Tokyo 2020 organizers said in a statement they did not comment on individual cases, but were committed to doing everything possible to allow athletes with nursing children to compete. An area in the Olympic Village was available for athletes to safely spend time with and breastfeed their children, but they must stay in private accommodation, the statement added. And looking on from the Tokyo Olympic Games, it has been announced that Brisbane will host the 2032 Summer Olympics after the International Olympic Committee on Wednesday overwhelmingly approved its nomination in a vote that Australia's Prime Minister hailed as a historic moment for the city and country. Brisbane got 72 of 77 eligible votes from the IOC members, and its selection means Australia becomes only the second country in the world after the United States to stage Summer Olympic Games in 3 different cities. Several candidates have shown an interest in staging the 2032 Games, including Indonesia, Hungary's capital Budapest, China, Qatar, Doha, and Germany's Ruhr Valley region, amongst others. But under the new process, Brisbane had already moved ahead of all rivals back in February. In other news, motorcycling's Thailand Grand Prix, scheduled to be held at the Chang International Circuit in October, has been cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race, initially said to be the 16th round of the season, had been scheduled for October 15 to the 17th. MotoGP confirmed that despite the best efforts of all parties involved, the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and resulting restrictions have led to the cancellation of the event, also adding that it's working on a replacement race. Thailand has recorded more than 420,000 COVID-19 infections and 3,408 deaths. The Thai Grand Prix is the third Asian race to be cancelled due to COVID-19 following the Australian and Japanese rounds. The Finnish Grand Prix was also cancelled, with the Styrian Grand Prix added in its place. And in tennis, the United States Tennis Association has on Wednesday announced the fields for 2021 US Open, which runs from August 30th through to September 12th in New York. The field includes Roger Federer and Naomi Osaka. Federer lost in the quarterfinals at Wimbledon. Osaka has not played a match since withdrawing after the first round in Paris. Top-ranked Novak Djokovic, who won Australian Open, the French Open, and Wimbledon, is also in the men's field and will be seeking to become the third man to win all 4 Grand Slam single titles in the same year. Wimbledon champion and number 1 ranked Ash Barty headlines the women's field alongside defending US Open champion Osaka. Also in the field are the Flushing Meadows, a 6-time champion Serena Williams, Wimbledon semi-finalist Aryna Sabalenka, and Sofia Kenin, the 2020 Australian Open champion. This week's ATP and WTA rankings were used to determine the entry list, but seedings will be announced closer to the start of the tournament. And in basketball, after Game 6 of the 2021 NBA Final, Giannis Antetokounmpo Antetokounmpo became the NBA champions on Tuesday with the Milwaukee Bucks, putting them level with younger brother Kotas and making them the first trio of brothers to win a league title. 23-year-old Kotas played for Los Angeles Lakers team that won last year's NBA championship. Giannis was named the NBA Finals most valuable player after he averaged 35.2 points, 32.2 rebounds, and 5 assists during the 4-2 series win over the Phoenix Suns. Thanasis, who is 29 years of age, played a minor role off the bench during the playoffs, but did not sit up in the last 2 games of the finals after entering NBA's health and safety protocols. Spaniards Paul and Marc Gasol were the only other brothers to win NBA titles after doing so with the Lakers and Toronto Raptors, respectively. And now to football, where Nigerians representative to the CAF Women's Champions League in Cote d'Ivoire, Rivers Angels FC of Port Harcourt, have promised $1 million per goal scored at the competition. Ambassador Desmond Akawo, the special guest of honor at the Sanford organized in honor of the club, made the pledge on Wednesday at the Alfred Desespi Sports Complex in Port Harcourt. He said that the pledge was to motivate the players. He admonished them to see football and sports generally as a huge business and not only as entertainment, urging the players to see their representation of Nigeria as an opportunity to secure their future. And still in domestic football, Aqua moved to closer to the first Nigerian Professional League title following a comprehensive 3-0 win over Warri Wolves in Uyo on Wednesday. Charles Ashineme bagged a brace for promised keepers while Obong Friday scored the other goal. Aqua United Football Club topped the standings with 63 points from 34 games. Elsewhere, Nasarawa United suffered a setback in their bid to win their first Nigerian Professional Football League title after going down to a 3-2 defeat to Lobby Stars. Kano Pillars title also suffered a hitch, with the four-time champions going down to a 2-0 defeat against Rangers International at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. Both teams finished the game with 10 men. In another match J34 encounter, Jigawa Golden Star boosted their survival hopes following a hard-fought 2-1 home win against Rivers United. At the Agege Stadium, Mountain of Fire Football Club defeated former champions Plateau United 3-1. Akane Elijah scored twice for the home team, while Tunde Aziz added a third after Buhari Ibrahim scored the only goal for Plateau United. In Okigwe, Abia Warriors recorded a 2-1 win against Hadland in the Rental Derby, while in Akure, Sunshine Stars were held to a goalless draw by Katsina United in another game. And now to Europe, where Inter Milan have joined Arsenal in withdrawing from the Florida Cup because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Arsenal had earlier cancelled their pre-season trip to the United States after a small number of their touring party tested positive for COVID-19. Subsequently, Inter have also pulled out because of the risk of international travel in spreading the virus. Both sides were scheduled to play in the event with Everton and Colombia's Millonarios. Organizers said Sunday's match between the two remaining sides at the Camping World Cup Stadium, Orlando, will still go ahead, and additional updates to the tournament are scheduled to be announced very shortly. Arsenal did not specify how many players of their touring group test positive, nor if any were players. And still relating to the coronavirus, Manchester City's preseason game with Troyes FC has been scrapped because of new government rules about entering France. The two clubs had been due to play on the 31st of July. New quarantine restriction, which means all those returning from France must quarantine for 10 days to have proved enough difficult for City to overcome. The news comes after it was confirmed City's first preseason game against Preston FC on the 27th of July must now be played behind closed doors. And City said the decision to play without fans present at the City Football Academy has been taken because the academy building has been closed since the 16th of July after a number of positive coronavirus cases. Away from the pandemic, Norwich City boss Daniel Fake has signed a 4-year contract extension until the summer of 2025. Fake, 44 years of age, arrived at Carrow Road from Borussia Dortmund in May 2017 and led the club to 14th-place championship finish in his first season in charge. The German guided the Canaries to the Premier League in 2019 and won the promotion against last season. Norwich earned 97 points on their way to the championship title last season, returning to the Premier League at the first time of asking following their relegation in 2020. Talking about signings, Nigerian midfielder Joel Obi has joined Serie A newcomers Salernitana on a 1-year contract. Salernitana have the option to extend it for a further year, which becomes automatic if they stay in Serie A. That 1-year-old previously played for Italian clubs Inter Milan, Parma, and Torino. He also enjoyed a short stint at the Turkish club Alansaspor. Salernitana finished second in Serie B last season behind title winners Empoli, and again their spot in Serie A along with playoff victors Venezia. And finally, Ruben de la Red's second half strike proved the difference for Real Madrid as they recorded a 3-2 victory over Barcelona in the Clásico Legends match. It was a star-studded occasion in Tel Aviv, Israel, with former greats such as Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Luis Figo, Roberto Carlos on show, and it proved to be a thrilling spectacle for the 25,000 fans at the Bloomfield Stadium. Ronaldinho broke the deadlock for Barcelona after 28 minutes, firing home a penalty after Antonio Nunes had brought down Javier Saviola in the box. However, Real Madrid burst out of the traps at the start of the second half as strikes from Pedro Munitis and Alfonso Perez 2 minutes later turned the match on its head. Although Joffrey Mateos restored parity with an hour on the clock, Madrid regained the lead with 10 minutes later with what turned out to be the winner. And Ruben de la Red showed delightful skill to evade 2 Barcelona players before calling home an unstoppable effort.
Wow, very interesting, Suri. Some of these footballers were already retired and had stopped playing football years ago. How come they are on the pitch again?
Very true, Chituga. I think the footballers in this match were all retired, like you mentioned there. They're all retired from active football some years ago. But from time to time, we often see retired footballers who are considered to be legends of the game take part in this kind of exhibition matches. They often do this in an attempt to raise funds as a means of support for charity and noble causes.
All right, then, that's the show for today on Atlantic Blowout. We thank you so much for investing your time with us. Please do follow us up on all our social media handles. Facebook and YouTube is at Atlantic Television Network, and Instagram is at Atlantic TV Network. Thank you for watching, and God bless you, and have a nice day. My name is Chituga Diamond. Bye for now.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
We anchor on the facts, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportages.